Ryan, so my pressing question for you is like, which Barbie moment made you laugh the most?
Probably like when Ken and Barbie go to the real world. It's that scene where they kind of trickle through from Barbie Land, and everyone's kind of flirting with them and think it's kind of like a little weird, but also it gets to a point where they kind of...
Oh, goodness. And yeah, we were supposed to film in here, but Kovu knocked over. Anyways.
Kovu.
Yeah, I think that scene was really funny. I thought it was especially hilarious when like she sees Ken in her car. She's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, and then they go, ah. Yeah.
Or
when they don't, like, they figure out they don't have genitals.
Oh, yes.
And Ken goes, I have both.
No, because those construction workers are catcalling them, and
exactly.
And
she has
just
no
like,
idea, because it's like the flip of the real world. It's like Barbie world. It's the opposite. So it's like, why are they doing this? And why are they not doing this to me, Ken?
And also, so in Oppenheimer, what was your favorite part of Oppenheimer?
Favorite part of Oppenheimer? Probably just like, you really feel for him when like he accomplishes his mission of making the nuclear bomb, but then he like, his task is basically done. Like the military is like, all right, we're through with you, goodbye. And then he's like, oh man, now no one wants me anymore. It's
right, it's like
you lose the accomplishment.
Yeah, it's like your work here is done. It's just that empty feeling where it's like, I poured so much time into this, now it's over. Like, what's next?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like you can kind of see in your own world where it's like you get to the goal and then you realize that the goal is like, oh wow, it's not as much, it's really about the process. And when you get to the goal, it's not as good as you thought it was going to be, except he made a nuclear bomb, so it's a little bit more intense than your goals. But
right. Yeah, I think there's just so much trippy imagery in Oppenheimer that really just stood out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like, Christopher Nolan, this is his thing. You have to watch all his movies twice.
Yeah.
Like,
they're good though.
That scene where he's hallucinating himself naked in the business room with Florence Pugh's character.
I still don't know why they needed that scene. That scene was so much different than like what the rest of the movie was. But
yeah.
Hi YouTube.
All right, so I asked Ryan his favorite scene in Oppenheimer was when the ending of the movie, like he's basically done a program now that he's built the bomb.
Can you move over a little bit? Sorry, I just want to make sure we're even.
Yeah,
Okay.
my sister got all dressed up as Barbie for this.
I'm wearing a Barbie tank top and a Barbie necklace.
So this is like the spoiler review for both Barbie and Oppenheimer. I should have prefaced that at the start of the video that like if you haven't seen either films yet, like
spoilers abound.
Yeah, I don't even know why I clicked on this video in the first place. So what was the funniest scene in Barbie?
For me, it was when she was called a fascist.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
That got me pretty good. I'd say Ken's whole shtick throughout the entire movie, Ryan Gosling, was just amazing.
Yes, genius casting.
Yeah, I also like how they turned a lot of things that women experience in everyday life in our world. They flipped it so the gender roles were reversed in Barbie Land, because if you look at Barbie Land, it's not like it's an even society. It's more of a matriarchy than it is a patriarchy, which, as a woman, obviously, I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun. However, it does make me feel for those of you dudes, because the Kens seem to have it really rough in Barbie Land until Ken brings the patriarchy to Barbie Land. So it kind of, I think it brings a very important point to the movie, which is that true feminism and true equality is both genders are equal. You don't have one topping the other.
Right,
you know?
even though the movie ends with all the Barbies reclaiming their position of power over the Kens, they're still very fair, and they let all the Kens have their own like personality, and you don't need Barbie.
Well, I also think too it's a commentary on how the world that the Kens live in, it's basically what women experience in our world.
Pretty much.
So in a way, it's an answer to the problems that we have in our society in Barbie Land.
Right, yeah, it's like, personally, I don't care if the people who are in positions of authority are male or female as long as you're doing the job properly.
Yeah.
Which I think anyone can do that just fine. In Oppenheimer, I asked Ryan, with Florence Pugh's character, it's like, how much extra do you think they paid her to
Probably none.
To be nude on scene?
Probably nothing.
I know that some actresses, they pay them, a lot extra to convince them to go, nude for certain scenes.
Look, it's Christopher Nolan, and also the nudity served a purpose. It was tasteful, and I think the fact that we're even talking about Florence Pugh's nudity versus Cillian Murphy's nudity, that in itself is kind of sexist. To be
Really?
like, why are we drawing attention to the fact that Florence Pugh was naked when Cillian Murphy... I mean, there was a scene where I thought we could see his dick. Like, he was basically not quite full frontal, but the closest thing to it. So...
Right, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, why
why-
is that, like, we're so cool, we used to see female nudity in movies, but when...
No, both of them I think were naked for the same amount of time, or
Right,
about
yeah.
as naked for the same amount of time. So I don't think it's really important to talk. I don't think we need to talk about. I love Florence Pugh. I loved her role in this movie, and I think again, her being naked served a purpose, which was it's about Oppenheimer for being such a brilliant physicist. He also did have a way with women, and he did have a charm and a charisma to him that I, as a female audience member, totally understand. This is in fact, the most attracted I've ever been to Cillian Murphy in my life, was in this movie, shockingly. Because he was brilliant, and he had this, like, confidence to him, and, like, even more so than physical appearance, that can often, and him and Florence Pugh especially, they had an ideological connection with their shared political beliefs, and that's what ultimately caused them to break up or drift apart, was the fact that he's like, I can't associate with the Communist Party anymore, because it's not good for my career, and that's where you see their relationship really fall apart, you know?
Right, exactly. It's like, Ryan and I were just talking about the whole, like, scene where, like, there's so much trippy imagery in Oppenheimer where it's like, is some of it actually really serving the story, like this scene where he's in, like, the room and he's fantasizing, again, there's, you know, himself being nude and everything, and that
was told from Emily. No, that actually made complete sense, because that was told from Emily Blunt's perspective.
Right.
Where Emily Blunt is having this. That's like every girl's worst nightmare, is what Emily Blunt had to experience in that room, which is she's sitting there listening to her husband talk about an affair he had while he was married to her. So I completely did not take it that way at all. I took it from the perspective of Emily Blunt just sitting there in horror, being like, and again, Cillian Murphy, after everyone else leaves the room, because she's upset, understandably, and he's like, why are you upset? This isn't anything you didn't hear before. Which means, and obviously we find out that she knew right after Florence Pugh's character commits suicide, she knew all about the affair, and this is some years later. However, she's having to relive it all over again. And she's like, now it's not just me that knows, it's the world and history that's going to know about this, and the embarrassment and the shame that brought her. Even though we know full well Emily Blunt's character, was not faithful at all to any of her ex-husbands, because she was like full-blown having an affair with Oppenheimer when they met. So yeah, no, I think that that scene also made complete sense to me why it was in there, because Oppenheimer's really telling a room full of strangers who are threatening to revoke his security clearance all about an extramarital affair he had with a communist woman, no less.
Yeah. That movie was like intense. Like, I was expecting that from the trailer walking into it. It was like, this isn't a horror movie, but it looks freaky. There's gonna be a lot of disturbing imagery.
I will say, so what I liked about I'm dressed up as Barbie, but of the two movies, Barbie is a feminist icon, okay? And I am Beatrice's feminist older sister, self-proclaimed. I have a feminist tattoo on my ankle, the whole 9 yards. But that said, I did like Oppenheimer more, because I did love the Barbie movie for what it was. I think they didn't go in as hard on some of the more critical elements of Barbie that are worth criticizing. They did touch on it, like that whole scene where America Ferrera's daughter calls Barbie a fascist, and how she caused women to have all kinds of unrealistic expectations for body image, and you know, there's a lot of things in Barbie that, while we're very progressive for the time, like, we've yet to have a female president in the United States of America. And I'm not even talking about politics. Like, whatever side of the aisle you're on, we have yet to have a female president. Barbie's had a female president.
Yeah.
In her land. There's been a Miss President Barbie. There's been a Barbie that's gone to the moon. So in a lot of ways, it creates this kind of idealistic construct. Like, when I was a kid growing up, I fully assumed, oh yeah, we'll have a female president at some point in my lifetime. When I was like 7. It's been 20 years, but still hasn't happened yet. So it kind of, I like that they critiqued that Barbie kind of set these really idealistic, but at the same time unrealistic expectations for women, not even just from a body image standpoint, which is also very problematic, but from just what life should be like as a grown woman. And I think America Ferrera's character does a very good job of sort of that whole speech she goes on about how hard it is to be a woman nowadays, and how we feel like we have to perfectly fit this mold, and that we're either too much or not enough, too skinny or not skinny enough, you know. It's like you have to walk this very fine line. but I don't think they did enough to criticize what Barbie represents and how while she is a feminist icon, she also is an icon of white feminism specifically. Because again, it took years before they came out with a Barbie doll that wasn't a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white lady. So for somebody like myself, I'm naturally blonde, but not actually this blonde. Barbie was very much a representation of what I could become, but I'd imagine I would feel very differently if we were, you know, not blonde-haired, blue-eyed white people.
Exactly.
So, but I did like the Barbie movie. I liked the message it played with Ken. I like how Ken is kind of set free by the end of the movie, and I like the realization that both Margot Robbie and I loved Weird Barbie too. We gotta talk about Weird Barbie.
Yes, Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, genius casting.
My mom texted us, because this is my brother. In case you couldn't tell, we are related. So we have the same mother.
It's been a while since I've been on one of my videos.
I know it's been. What was the last one we made together?
Oh shoot! I think it was the one we did right after we graduated from Tulane, but it got blocked.
It got blocked
Because of copyrighted music.
Well, yeah, we reviewed our favorite songs, probably for the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was 5 years ago. Can you believe that? I'm coming up on my 5-year college anniversary. So yeah, Beatrice and my mom saw Barbie together, and I had...
For a second time.
I was that kid. My Barbies growing up were all weird Barbies. I put glitter glue in their hair. My mom called them existential Barbies. So she texted me right at the theater, and she goes, "You were ahead of your time."
Yes.
Existential Barbie was ahead of her time. And I'm like, what can I say? I'm a trendsetter. But... yeah, I loved Kate McKinnon's whole character and her character arc.
Yeah, you know, with Barbie, when the movie was first released, there was always like word about it being like, oh, this is like the wokest movie ever or stuff like that. And it's like, to me, when I saw the movie the first time, because I first saw it with my roommate Mason. We saw it and we walked out feeling like, I feel like the message was like, it was being preached to us, but in both a comedic way. But I think it was very fair when it got its point across. Well,
I will say too, I also walked into that theater knowing this is a movie made for me, a feminist, like white lady that's liberal.
Yeah. Also,
like I'm very much their target demographic, and even I could fully recognize. Ryan and I kind of looked at each other, and he's like, "Yeah, this movie was meant for a fight." Like for you could fight with your boyfriend on your way out of the theater if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's like with Mom really likes some of the trailers. There was like, if you love Barbie, this movie is for you. If you hate Barbie, this movie is for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could even recognize still, like there are some more, you know, this movie is quite woke, but it also criticizes its wokeness.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
It's beautifully self-aware.
Yes, exactly. I will say, going back to Oppenheimer, my favorite part, and this just tickles me because we were raised on Drake and Josh.
Oh, Josh Peck.
Josh Peck. The fact that Josh Nichols to me is the one that hit the button for the atomic bomb test. You mean to tell me they left the man in charge of pressing the button, the man who hit Oprah with his car. They left him in charge. Press the button.
Jumped into his brother in a pool of chocolate milk.
That just killed me. It absolutely kills me. I love too how the movie, I will say, of all of Christopher Nolan's movies, I found this to be the most accessible one he's made in a while. Like, Inception, you walk out of that theater and you're like, I need to see that a second time because I don't know what we also saw Inception when we were, like, kids. But, and Interstellar, for instance, a lot of that movie goes over your head the first viewing. Same thing with Tenet. This one I felt was much more intellectually accessible.
Yeah.
However, things went so freaking quick. Like, you miss a line of dialogue and you're missing a whole plot point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought Robert Downey Jr. too was unbelievable.
Probably gonna receive an Oscar nomination for Best Picture.
As he should.
Acting, performances, and the script and everything, because it's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, as he should. I also think too, if this isn't Nolan's Oscar, then like, what is the Academy doing?
He's never won a director.
He's never won a directing or writing Oscar. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
If this is not his Oscar, I don't know what the Academy is doing. This is a phenomenal movie. The fact that they did not use apparently any CGI. They made an atomic bomb movie without CGI? Like, what are you doing? I get it's a power blockbuster, but give Christopher Nolan his goddamn Oscar already, because this is genius.
Exactly.
The whole movie, the way that they played to the atomic bomb explosion, when you see it in a training test, and it's completely silent. And then later it goes off. I saw it opening night by myself, because I've seen it twice, and we all jumped in the theater. when it finally went off. So when I saw it with Ryan for the second time, I whispered to him, I'm like, it's about to get really loud. And I plugged my ears so he knew it was coming, because we were like up towards the front, so it was very loud. But yeah, you get to the end of Oppenheimer. I hate when people do this in movies. I think it's so cheesy, but this is the one time where I'll give it a pass. The movie ended, you could hear a pin drop, everybody clapped. Everybody was like, yep, that's, I clapped. I hate when people clap in movies, and I was like, this is deserved.
Yes.
Yes, it was very, but this isn't like an unpopular opinion. I feel everybody loved Oppenheimer. I think the more important thing is the phenomenon of Barbie and Oppenheimer being released the same weekend.
Yeah, this is a genius.
How much of a win it is, too, for the movies that have been and also with the writer's strike, too. I think it's very fortunate timing, and at the same time unfortunate timing, because I feel like the sentiment going on in Hollywood right now with the writer's strike is very... It's like what's happening right now will determine the next 20 years of the film and TV industry, from my understanding. I have a friend that works in the industry who's in LA.
So with the writer's strike, people are going on strike because of movies bombing, or?
No. So what they're doing, from my understanding, as somebody who's not in the industry and who knows very little about this, however, this is what I've gathered, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from my understanding, the writer's strike is because the streaming platforms are not paying their working writers and their working actors, so not like the top billed people, but the people who are supporting characters, they're not receiving any royalties from these streaming services the way that they would if they were on like a cable network show. So when you look at a show like Orange is the New Black, for instance, one of the supporting characters, she played Natalie Figueroa, was a supporting character earlier on in the show, wound up becoming a very main character. She actually lost money filming Orange is the New Black because she's never received a royalty check, from my understanding. So that's why people are going on strike now, because these streaming platforms just haven't updated their contracts to pay their talent appropriately. And as a result, the network executives are pocketing all of the money. So I don't think it affects film as much. I think it affects more TV and streaming. However, I will say I think this just elucidates that right now the movies can still do well in a post-COVID world. Original, independent movies that aren't being made as part of a major IP. Like, these are both huge blockbuster movies that aren't Marvel movies. They're not DC movies. They're not part of, like, yes, Barbie is a huge IP. Christopher Nolan himself is a huge name. However, the Barbie movie being a Barbie movie doesn't necessarily mean it's going to perform well, just like Transformers or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the like you know...
Or Indiana Jones, that movie bombed horrendously.
Exactly.
Same thing with The Flash, that movie.
Yeah, so I think I'm very glad we're living in a time where things like this are happening, where people, full-grown adult women are dressing up as Barbie to go to the movies.
This is like, it just brought everyone together. I'm so impressed. Even, like, you know, people of all backgrounds, all genders, all ages, everyone's just come out to see Barbie. And I think the PG-13 rating really worked, because Ryan said that the scene that made him laugh the most was, we're like, we don't have genitals. And it's like, it feels like Barbie herself is growing up with the girls who grew up playing with her.
Well, the fact, too, that you think she's going to a job interview at the end of the movie, and this is something any woman who's ever been to the gynecologist can relate to. That the last scene of the movie is her like, I'm here for my gynecologist appointment. Because she presumably now has genitals, and it's like, yeah, it's like part of being a woman. It's one of the many things we have to do as like you're a real girl now, you're not a doll.
Alright, you got anything else to say?
No, just, if you haven't seen these movies, like, what are you doing? Like, don't live under a rock. Go do yourself a favor. If you're a very, very conservative person who is offended by feminism, you really probably won't like the Barbie movie, so maybe skip that one. However, and I'm talking, like, if you're a very, very, I won't get to...
Like, alt-right or something crazy.
Yeah, like, if you're an alt-right, like, crazy, like, not crazy conservative. I love people of all different beliefs, even if I vehemently disagree with you, but, like, yeah, if you think that women should be in the kitchen, this probably isn't a movie for you. But if you're not like that, then you see both, because you'll probably find something to enjoy in both.
Right, yeah. I'm excited to buy Oppenheimer on DVD when it comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, hey, Actual Bay, thanks for having me, Nancy. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching.
He's visiting me in Connecticut. This is my apartment.
Yes, it is lovely. Can I give the viewers like a little
tour, sure.
Yeah, sure.
A teensy tour, Because this is also going on the internet, and
I usually
I share this
throw
apartment with somebody else.
gameplay over spoiler talks, but Auntie really wanted to dress up as Barbie for this, and very well done.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
That's my cat.
Come on, 50 boy. Well, okay, thanks for watching.
Bye, YouTube.
Don't forget to tickle my sister by subscribing.
Oh my gosh, no tickling. Just figurative.
Have a good day.